Star Wars, Young Jedi Knights, Shards of Alderaan, Chapter 6. Several days later, from where he stood, Zeke could see no more than Jaina's jumpsuited legs sticking out from beneath the navigational console in the cockpit of the lightning rod. The stained brown fabric of her comfortable uniform provided a subtle contrast to the tarnished metal plates and lubricated, smooth components scattered around the floor. After delivering his bad news about Raynar's missing father, Han Solo had departed, heading home for Coruscant. He knew Chewbacca had promised to return as soon as they could. In the meantime, Jaina had vowed to help old Peckham fix his battered ship, which had been severely damaged during the Second Imperium's attack. The past few days of working with old Peckham, Jaina, Jason, Loy, and Tenel Ka were some of the happiest times Zeke could remember. At first, Zeke felt a little guilty for helping the young Jedi for taking the young Jedi trainees away from rebuilding the temple, since all that horrendous damage had been his fault, but Master Skywalker himself had given his blessing to restoring the lightning rod to working condition. "I can't think of a team more competent to repair Peckham's ship," Luke said to them. "They are sending another crew of New Republic engineers, and I have plenty of students to work on the Great Temple in the meantime. Besides, I have a sense that getting this old shuttle in flying condition will turn out to be very important in ways that you can't imagine." As the companions tinkered not only with systems damaged in the Imperial attack, but with old components that should have been replaced years before, Zeke realized the Jedi Master was right about the importance of fixing a lightning rod, collectively and personally. He found something healing about repairing the damage he indirectly caused, something therapeutic about laboring with his friends, who did their best to accept him despite occasional moments of awkwardness. While both Zeke and Peckham were competent mechanics, Jaina was absolutely in her element. She dove into the task with gleeful enthusiasm, checking the ship's cargo, hull integrity, pointing out blaster damage plates, running diagnostics, and issuing orders like a top-notch flight mechanic. Surprised and a bit amused, Peckham let Jaina have free rein in directing the overall repair project of his cargo vessel. Seeing how masterful and confident she was, Zeke felt warm inside. Now Jaina's muffled voice drifted out from under the navigational console as she wormed her way deeper into the tiny crawl space. "Would someone please hand me some line traps and the signal flux meter?" She waved a grimy hand, waiting for the tools. Loy, whose upper body had wedged into an overhead access patch like some huge and awkward furry stowaway, responded with an unintelligible roar. Eager to help, Zeke retrieved Jaina's instruments from the top of the cockpit panels. With a murmured thank you, Jaina thumped around underneath the navigational console. "There," she said at last. "That ought to do it. Now try the hyperchart function again." Zeke switched a few switches and pressed a button. A holographic map of several recommended hyperspace routes shimmered in front of him. "That's got it," he confirmed. "Seems to be working fine now." Jaina scrambled out from under the console. She looked back her straight brown hair and wiped her greasy palms on the front of her rumpled flight suit, leaving dark handprints on the brown fabric. "A few finishing touches and the ship will be ready to fly. Better than ever." Zeke gave Jaina an uncertain smile as he offered her a hand so that she could stand up. "I can't think of anyone I'd rather have beside me fixing this ship. I bet the lightning rod hasn't been in such good shape since Peckham first got her. Hard to believe you started with nothing more than a battered hulk and a pile of spare parts." Jaina bit her lower lip and her cheeks flushed pink with the compliment. "It was all of us, really, working together as a team, including you, Zeke." The young man nodded, but he knew what she was hoping. But he didn't say. He couldn't change his mind. "I'll be leaving as soon as we're finished with the lightning rod," he said. I know, Jaina said. "Have you decided yet where you'll go once you leave Yavin 4? "Got a lot of possibilities, I guess." He shrugged. "I asked Peckham if he'd give me a lift back to Coruscant. From there, who knows?" Jaina looked away. "Whatever you finally decide what to do with your life, I hope it includes us." Zeke wasn't sure what to say. He couldn't make any promises at this point. He could no longer be certain of who she was or what he might become. The silence stretched like a taut wire between them. "Come on," Jaina said at last, breaking the tension and meeting his eyes. "Let's go help Jason and Tenel Ka finish patching the Alder Hall." 2 days later, his bags packed with a few meager possessions, Zeke stood with his old friend and companion, Peckham, saying his goodbyes to the young Jedi Knights before boarding the lightning rod. With one hand on Zeke's shoulder, Peckham said, "This old ship's seen some hard use, boy. Of course, so have you. but you never know. To look at her now, like a brand new transport with dozens of years of service left in her. Zeke felt a warm tingle of pride at what he and his friends had accomplished. It's like the lightning rod has a new life, he agreed. Yeah, old Peckham said, looking with great seriousness at the young man beside him. He cleared his throat, as if he had forced words past an internal blockage. That's why I want you to have her. Take her for your own, Zeke. The lightning rod is my gift to you. Jaina gasped. Loie gave a curious rumble, and EMTD said, "Oh my!" Zeke blinked before shaking his head, not certain he heard right. I couldn't. How'd you make your living? Well, Peckham said slowly, truth is, Chief of State Organosol's been after me to modernize a bit. Wants me to use some newfangled cargo ship the Republic has. They got it for me a year or more ago, because I've been doing so much work for the Jedi Academy. But you know me, I knew things. I'm kind of resisting the offer. I guess it's got kind of improved guidance system, a code encryption, what you would call it, and a bigger cargo hold. Gotta have more space now that there'll be more supplies to bring back and forth to Yavin 4, you know? But what all the new guarded systems and added troop stations in orbit? But you've had the lightning rod ever since I've known you, Peckham, Zeke said. A fond smile crossed the old man's grizzled face. Yep, I had her a few years even before you stowed away aboard her. You were old scamp, all right, stowing away from ship to ship after that disaster wiped out your family and colony on Emmett. Zeke remembered. They wanted me to live in a refugee station for finding me some sort of foster home. Yep, Peckham said. Instead, you found yourself a home with me. Zeke's throat tightened. You've done a lot for me over the years, Peckham. I can't take your ship, too. Tell you the truth, the lightning rod's more of a junk heap than anything. A menace to the galaxy, really. You'll be doing me a favor taking her off my hands. That's the only way I'll get around to using a newer ship. We've all got to move up to bigger and better things, boy. Don't be so resistant to change. Despite his bold words, Zeke could see that old Peckham was choked up at the thought of parting with the lightning rod, as if it were a part of him. Oh well, Zeke thought. At least this way he'd have a piece of his friend wherever he went. A piece of home. All right, he said. I accept, but only if you're sure. I'm sure. I'll miss you, Peckham said in a low voice. Then with a bit of bluster he added, but I won't miss this old garbage scrawl, not for a minute. He kicked the boarding ramp. The toe of his boot clinged on the metal. The motion of the moment nearly overwhelmed Zeke, but he pasted a crooked smile on his face. I can always tell when you're lying, Peckham, he said. Peckham's face broke into a broad grin. Never could fool you, boy. You, the lightning rod, are the two best friends I ever had. Take good care of each other. Loie whiffed softly a few times. Master Lobacca wishes you safe travels, EMTD translated. Live well, Tanaka said, and fight only battles worth fighting. We'll miss you, Zeke, Jason said. Don't forget to come back and visit us. You'll always have us as friends, Jaina said, but her voice came out a whisper, hoarse with restrained emotion. I'll miss you all, Zeke said.